Leave a like and I'll actually give you nothing, dude. No joke. Nah, but what's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. And imagine you're just sitting there on a nice sunny day, having such a nice time, when this Karen appears out of nowhere, demands to speak to the manager, and says that she's gonna place you under citizens arrest, and then slide tackles you like she plays for the freaking Giants. Yeah, so this happened to a subscriber, and I'll be telling that story, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right into the story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Andrew. So anyways, right, Andrew's at the park with his little brother. Every single Saturday, he goes to the park with his little brother. It's just like a nice activity they have, because Andrew is significantly older. His little brother's like, I don't know, dude, he's like 8 or something, and Andrew is like a senior in high school. So yeah, and also this is going to be the last year that Andrew's at home because he's going away for college pretty soon. So he's honestly just trying to spend as much time with his little brother as possible. So anyways, this is a normal Saturday, and he was just kind of chilling in the park. And there's a lot of fun things to do in the park, like there's, I don't know, there's slides, there's the outside world, there's grass that can be touched, wink, wink, nod, nod to a lot of you guys. I'm just kidding. Love you guys. Don't unsubscribe. But yeah, this day was a little bit different, though, because there was a Karen in the park. So the first time that Andrew actually saw this Karen, she was just, she was standing at the other side, and she had like she had the big aviator sunglasses on. She had the quintessential Karen cut. You already know what I'm talking about. It's like when the hair is cut really short on one side and flopped all the way over on the other, like the Karen I showed on the screen earlier in the video. Yeah, she had the quintessential Karen cut. She had the big glasses. She had like this like really weird shirt that didn't fit that well. And she was like full of anger and disalt and tilt, and she was just not having it. She was like on the other side, her hands were on her hips, and she was scanning the park. Like she was looking around. Basically, dude, she was scanning the park for trouble because she was bored, you know? She wanted to just mess with some people, and mess with some people she was about to. So Andrew looks over, and the Karen is staring right at him. And he's like, no, like, come on, ma'am, like, come on now. And the Karen starts walking over very angrily. Like, her fists are balled, and she's like, bum, 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 bum. Just kind of like starting to walk over, right? And Andrew's just looking at her like, dude, you can't be serious, bro. Like, you cannot be serious right now. And she comes over, and she looks at them. And right now, it's just Andrew and his little brother, just like, his little brother is just like blissfully, unawarely, just like, I don't know, doing his thing. And Andrew just like looks up, and she says, excuse me. And Andrew's like, yeah, what's up? And she's like, this is a private park, and I demand you guys go. And the thing is, right, Andrew knows for a fact that this is just massive cap right now because, dude, he's been going to this park since he was a little kid, since he was like his little brother's age. And yeah, this was very clearly a public park. And he just responds calmly, like, ma'am, I think you have this confused with somewhere else. This is pretty clearly a public park. I've been going here for a while. Like, you can even look it up. It's listed as a public park. And she's like, this is a private park, and if you don't get out of here in 3 seconds, I'm calling up the manager. And Andrew looks at her, and he's just like, dude, what are you talking about? What do you mean the manager, bro? We're at a public park. The manager of the parks department? Are we calling up Leslie Knope? Like, what's going on right now? And she's like, 3, 2... Dude, for some reason, some people just think if they start counting down that you're going to do what they say. Give me $1 million. 3, 2... Subscribe to this channel with notifications on. 3, 2... But anyways, right, so the countdown goes down, and Karen's like, that's it. You guys are so doomed. And she, like, walks over, and there was, like a park police dude or a park ranger or whatever who happened to be, kind of, passing by, and the Karen must have seen him. So he walks up to the park ranger and says, like, arrest these 2 hooligans immediately, and points at, Andrew, who's just, like, sitting there, and his little brother, who's playing in a sandbox right now. And the park ranger's like, ma'am, like, what is the reason that you want me to, like, go over there? And she says, they are in the park, and I don't want that. As a taxpayer, this is my private park. So basically, that Karen had construed that since she pays taxes, that, the taxes pay for this park, and therefore, this park is hers, therefore, it is her private park, which is just the most ridiculous logic I've ever heard in a million years. But hey, man, I mean, we are talking about a Karen right now, so if you thought that she was going to have normal people logic, then, like, I don't know, bro, you must live in a different planet, too. But anyways, right, the park ranger says yes, but they probably pay taxes too, and either way, this park is open to everyone. Like all of your tax dollars pay to have this park available for everyone. This isn't your private park. And that's when the Karen goes over, looks at the ranger and says, "I demand to speak to your manager to sort this nonsense out." And the park ranger looks at her and says, "I'm actually the chief ranger here, or whatever the highest ranking ranger here is. I am my manager. If you'd like to speak to me, I'm all ears." And the Karen just kind of looks at him and gives him this look. It is fine. So the Karen, at this point, Andrew's all right, word. The Karen's not going to mess with us anymore. We're chilling. Hopefully she doesn't come back here and do this every week or something. But unfortunately, Andrew was completely wrong, because the Karen, as she's storming away from the park ranger, starts storming towards Andrew and his little brother. And he's like, "Oh my God, what's going on now, bro? What are we doing now, bro?" And she comes over and she's like, "You know what? You're disrespecting your elders by not leaving right now." So at this point, right, the Karen at first says, "Get out of here. This is my private park. I demand you to do so. 3, 2, 1, get out of here." Now she's saying, because you don't leave when I demanded you to, over a lie, right, that you're disrespecting your elders. And at this point, Andrew's like, "Ma'am, I'm sorry. We're not leaving the park. This is the time I spend with my little brother. He likes it here. Just because I'm not doing what you're saying doesn't mean I'm disrespecting you. There's a big difference." And the Karen's like, "You think this is the last of it? Well, you're wrong." And the Karen basically disappears into the void, in a sense. I mean, not actually, but she kind of disappears back into the woods, the park, whatever. She leaves, but she doesn't exactly leave. Andrew thought that she was good and gone, but that is not the case. So anyways, later that day, Andrew's little brother has a birthday party to go to. So about after half an hour later of chilling in the park, Andrew finds the little brother. He's like, "Hey man, we got to go to your friend's birthday party." And obviously Andrew's little brother is really excited for all this. So, they get up and they walk to the car. So Andrew gets in the car and he starts, he puts his keys in, he starts the car, and he looks behind him, right? Because you have to look when you're backing out. You don't want to back into someone. That would be big bad. And he sees someone sitting in a car. And it's this weird minivan type thing. Nothing wrong with minivans. They're actually nice cars, right? But it's this minivan with a bunch of weird stickers on it. And there's a woman sitting in the car. And she was looking at them. And Andrew was like, "That looks like the woman from the park. But it can't be, because she's been gone for an hour at this point. No way that's the same Karen from the park earlier. Right?" Yeah, so anyways, he pulls out and he starts driving, because he's driving over to his little brother's friend's house, which is 20 minutes away or something. So not too bad. And that's when he looks in his rearview mirror after driving for 5 minutes, and the same car that was in the parking lot with the person who looked just like the Karen is right behind him. So at this point, Andrew's like, "Well, maybe this is just a coincidence. This is a little weird, but no way the Karen's actually following me. That would actually be psychopathic. There's not a shot she's actually doing that." So Andrew just keeps driving, right? And driving, and they're about to pull into the neighborhood of the little brother's friend, right? And guess what? The Karen, or what looks like the Karen, is still driving behind him. So in Andrew's mind, he's like, "Well, I mean, maybe she's a grandmother of a kid who's also going to this party, who also happens not to be the Karen that we met in the park. Maybe." So yeah, at this point, Andrew's he pulls into the driveway of the kid who's having the birthday party, and he watches as the Karen mobile, that's what we're going to call it right now, the Karen mobile slows down. And Andrew's like, if she pulls in, I'm actually going to have a problem, right? And if it is the Karen, we're going to have a problem. But the Karen mobile slows down as it passes the house and then speeds back up and goes by. And Andrew's like, "Well, that must have just been a really strange coincidence, because I could have sworn that was the Karen, right?" And Andrew goes in with his little brother to drop him off or not drop him off, but to be there as well, to bring him into the birthday party, thinking that was just a really strange coincidence and that definitely wasn't the Karen. Let me just say that Andrew was mistaken. The Karen was stalking him all the way to the birthday party. And you might be thinking, well, the Karen must be done. No, she's about to enact her revenge. The Karen is about to strike. Empire Strikes Back, but replace Empire with Karen. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment Karen down below. I just like to see how many people made this far into the video. And if you want to support the channel, literally the best thing you can do that helps me out even more than you can ever imagine is just at some point today, maybe after this video or later, while you're doing something like drawing or watching a television show or playing a video game or trying to go to sleep, if you can binge watch my old videos, you can watch them, just watch them normally, get one of my playlists. If you watch a bunch of my old videos, it helps me out so much. Let me know in the comment section if you are doing that or are planning on doing it or have done it so I can reply and say thank you and heart it. Just so you know, it helps me out more than you can ever imagine. Anyways, let's get back to the Karen's revenge because it's about to get pretty crazy right now. So anyways, Andrew brings his little brother in, and his little brother's at the birthday party, and it's like Star Wars themed. So, dude, I freaking love Star Wars, but they have like sword fights, and they have like stormtrooper helmets, and you know, this kid really liked Captain Rex, so we got a whole Captain Rex Halloween outfit with the helmet and everything. Like, it was super sick. Yeah, but anyways, Andrew hears a car pull up, and he doesn't think much of it. He's like, oh, it's like 30 minutes after the party has started. Like, maybe some kid is just coming late. Like, that happens all the time. And this party happened in the backyard, and there was a fence. So basically, you pulled up and you walked in through the backyard fence, walked into the backyard where the party was happening. In the backyard fence, right, you know, the backyard fence opens, and guess who walks in? It is the Karen. And Andrew is basically in the middle of a massive stare-off with the Karen, because he's thinking to himself, there is no way, bro. Ain't no way, bro. Like, there is not a shot that that is actually the Karen. My eyes must be deceiving me, because I know for a fact that that is not the frickin' Karen, bro. Not a chance that is the Karen. But yeah, the Karen walks in, and like some of the other parents there kind of look over. They're like, is that one of these kids' grandmothers or something? Like, what is going on? Like, we don't know who that is. And the mom of the birthday boy, who's the friend of Andrew's little brother, walks up and says, hey there, like, are you related to anyone at the party? And the Karen is like, I am not, says it very proudly. And I don't know why you'd say that so proudly, like you're being mad bold right now. And she says, this party is violating the rules of the city. You must have a permit to throw something like this, which totally isn't true. Maybe there's some weird, very specific law I don't know about, but bro, are you really calling the cops on a kid's Star Wars birthday party that's happening at 3 in the afternoon? Like, you cannot be serious, dude. Yeah, but anyways, the birthday boy's mother is like, nope, I think this is totally okay, ma'am. Like, thank you for voicing your concerns. If you want us to keep it down a little bit, I'll relay the message, but yeah. She basically says, no, take this L, default dance, right? And the Karen is like, no, no, no. Don't you think for a second that you hooligans are going to get away with this. Like, this is illegal. And, like, then she points to Andrew and is like, and this one is very disrespectful, too. I'm going to call the police on you for breaking the law and being disrespectful to elders, and points at Andrew. And Andrew's like, ma'am, I don't think that's a crime. It's not, also, I wasn't being disrespectful. Even if I was, though, definitely not a crime, ma'am. Don't know how else to say it, but it's not illegal to be disrespectful. And she's like, well, see about that. So the Karen takes out her phone and walks outside. So Andrew goes up to the birthday boy's mom and is like, I'm so sorry. And the birthday boy's mom is like, why are you sorry? Like, this isn't like, are you related to her? And he's like, no, this woman's like crazy, dude. Like, I was in the park with, you know, my little brother. She comes up to us and says, hey, you need to get out of here because this is her private park. Turns out it was like not, because it's a public park. I've been going there for like 10 years. And then she came back and said, I'm going to get revenge on you. I think she followed me to the party. So this is all kind of my fault. I'm sorry. And obviously the birthday boy's mom is like, dude, like, this, like, she isn't you. Like, you're not controlling her with, like, a little, like, I don't know, remote control or something. Like, this is a random woman who followed you. This is not your fault. But, yeah, I wonder if she's actually going to call the cops. 20 minutes later, a police officer pulls up. And he walks in, and some of the kids, like, turn around and are like, oh, my God, what? Because, like, a police officer actually comes in. And he walks in, and the Karen runs up and is like, thank you, officer. Thank you, officer. Thank you for coming. "Oh my God, it's been terrible. It's been terrible." And the police officer's like, "I got a call of a illegal function happening here that's very destructive and causing lots of damage, I've been told on the phone." The police officer takes off his sunglasses and he just like surveys what's in front of him. It's a bunch of little kids with a Star Wars piñata and little flashy lightsabers and Star Wars action figures and a Lego Death Star and a bunch of parents and cake. And at that point, right, the police officer's like, turns to Karen and is like, am I at the right place, ma'am? And she's like, yes, this is the illegal function. Shut it down right now. And also, just so you know, if you want to arrest him, and points to Andrew, you may arrest him too for being disrespectful to his elders. Police officer's like, ma'am, that's not a thing. Second of all, and he kind of like turns to Karen. He's like, ma'am, did you really just call the police on a kid's birthday party at 3 p.m? And the Karen's face turns and she's like, but this is a legal function. You must shut it down immediately or I'm calling your manager. He's like, okay. Yeah, ma'am, I'm not shutting this down. Like, please don't waste our time. We actually have real things to deal with. And he gets in his police car and he leaves. And the Karen is standing there and she's like literally starting to shake because she is so angry and she is mauling so hard. She is so angry right now. And, the birthday boy's mom goes up to her and is like, ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Like, I think it's pretty obvious that, like, you're not really welcome here. And she's like, you. And then points to Andrew, and you too. And then points to all the kids, and you. And all the kids are like, bro, what? I'm just here for the Star Wars, bro. And she's like, you think that you can get rid of me. You think that I won't know that you paid off that police officer. And Andrew's like, bro, what? What the fuck, bro? What? Huh? And she's like, and you think that, like, you can get away with this? No, I will be back. And she just, like, storms out of there. And they're all kind of just looking at her. And then they're all looking at each other. And Andrew's like, turns, like, goes to the mom of the birthday boy. And it's like, look, we should actually be prepared for her to come back and do something crazy. I mean, she was crazy enough to follow me here and then call the cops on us just because I didn't leave the park when she asked me to or demanded me to. So she's definitely capable of being pretty crazy. So guys, just be careful. And at this point, right, the birthday boy's mom's like, okay, you know what? I don't even care. I just want my son to have a good birthday. Like, we're just going to keep going. If she comes back and wants trouble, she'll get trouble. And Andrew's like, all right, I'm all for that. I mean, that's cool with me, dude. So you guys might be thinking, okay, what can this Karen actually do right now? Like, how bad can she actually be? And let me just say that set your expectations to the moon because she's about to do something crazy. So anyways, the party is almost wrapping up. It's like 4 o'clock. It started at 2. It's been going hard for like 2 hours. And at this point, like, honestly, Andrew's going to leave in like 10 minutes. But that's when the Karen comes back. And she comes back and she has with her this, like, there's like those carts that are on wheels. I think I'm being stupid not remembering the name. But she's carrying like this cart behind her. And it's full of water balloons. However, inside the water balloons is not water. That would have been bad enough. This is really messed up. But inside the water balloons are paint and piss. Dude, I don't know how she got this done so quickly. Like, she literally came back 45 minutes later with a ton of water balloons full of paint and piss. I low-key think that she's been, like, saving this for a while. Like, I legitimately believe that she's been saving the paint and piss balloons for, like, a second now, which is really messed up. However, it is what she did. So she came back with a cart full of water balloons full of paint and piss, right? I'm just going to call it pee just so YouTube doesn't get mad at me. Because I don't know, they get mad at everything. And she comes back and she's like, the police, she starts yelling. She's like, you guys paid off the police officers? And everyone turns to look at her. So I'm taking the law into my own hands. And she takes one of the paint-filled water balloons and literally chucks it into the crowd of kids. Like, what the fuck, bro? What is this violence, dude? Throws the water balloon full of paint. It explodes everywhere. Kids start, like, screaming. The adults are like, what is going on here? Everyone's running as she throws another pee-filled water balloon boom, hits one of the parents, explodes full of urine all over them. They're like, oh my God, you're a disgusting old woman. Throws another one full of paint, boom. I'm having too much fun with this, man. This story's awful. I'm having too much fun with it. Anyways, she's just like chucking the paint and pee balloons everywhere. They're exploding. Urine and pee or urine and paint are just everywhere. Not exactly how I would want to end my 8-year-old's what's it called, Star Wars themed birthday party, because I don't totally remember the Star Wars episode where, you know, Darth Vader comes in with a pee balloon and throws it at Anakin Skywalker and is like, wait a minute, Luke Skywalker, and is like, Luke, I am your father. Now take this pee, bro. And this like explodes all over his face. I don't remember that. Maybe that's part of the George Lucas director cut. I didn't see that one yet, though. But anyways, at this point, you know, Andrew's like, enough is enough. He pulls out his phone, calls 911, basically says, this old woman who's been harassing us is now throwing pee and paint-filled balloons at a bunch of kids. And immediately the cops are like, what the freak, bro? So they come over, right? After about like 2 or 3 minutes, like I think the cops were just in the neighborhood or whatever, and they stop in and they're like, what's going on over here? And the woman, like the Karen, is like laughing. She's like, throwing her like pee and paint balloons. Everyone's screaming, bunch of kids are crying or whatever. It is like the most insane thing ever. Typical day in the life of a Karen, but the most insane thing ever. And the cops are like, what are you doing over here? And the Karen looks at them, and the Karen literally takes a pee-filled balloon and chucks it at one of the police officers, hits him square in the face, and the other one's like, freeze! And like starts moving towards the Karen. So the Karen is like, uh-oh, at this point. She like knocks over her crate full of like pee or like paint balloons or whatever. They bounce everywhere. Police officer steps on one and slips in it. So he falls for a second. And the Karen runs inside the house and locks the door. So at this point, right, the officers are like, is everyone okay? And, like, there's a bunch of crying kids or whatever. And the mom of the birthday boy comes over and says, yes, like, this crazy woman, like, called the cops on us. And, you know, cops didn't do anything because we're just having a legal, lawful birthday party. So she came back to enact the law herself, in her own quotes, and has been throwing balloons full of unidentified urine and random paint at us. Like, this is ridiculous. And she also just ran into our house. I don't know who she is. Like, I'm scared. Cops are like, all right, we're calling him back up. So they literally call him back up for a Karen. They probably called in like a 1428, which is code for crazy Karen alert. Okay, probably not actually, but maybe at this point they have a Karen, like a term for like Karens at this point. But anyways, you know, so the Karen is like inside the house and has locked the door. And, at this point, Andrew turns to the birthday boy's mom and is like, is there any way to get inside there? Like, do you have a key or something? And she's like, actually, yeah, like, there's a key behind the rock, like, behind the house. So anyways, they go behind the house and they find, like, a rock. Because, like, you can get, like, fake rocks or fake plants you can hide secret keys in. So they go behind there. The birthday boy's mom finds where the secret key is, takes it out. It is like, okay, well, she's not going to let us in unless you distract her. So at this point, Andrew's like, dude, I got it. So anyways, Andrew goes up to one of the windows, starts banging on it, and the Karen gets distracted, walks over, and starts screaming at him like, why would you call the cops on your elders? That is so disrespectful. Like, I was literally just enacting the law. I was doing what was right by throwing balloons at you guys. And Andrew's like, dude, you just came to a kid's birthday party, and you threw like balloons full of pee and paint at them. Like, you're insane. Like, you need to be locked up, dude. And at this point, Andrew's really just stalling because while this is happening, while he's having the conversation with the Karen, the mom is over at the little kid's birthday boy, whatever mom, is at the front door, put the key in, and is like starting to unlock the door. And the Karen's like, you know what? You're so disrespectful. Back in my day, like, kids like you would just, like, listen to their elders. Honestly, the world was such a better place back then when kids would just be, they'd be obedient. They would do what needs to be said. And they respected the rules of the private park. They respected the rules of no birthday parties after 12 in the morning. Also keeping, like, this birthday party is ridiculous. You guys are worshiping space monsters. And Andrew's like, bro, it's a freaking Star Wars party. It's not that deep. And she's about to go on another back in my day rampage when she's like, back in my day. And at that point, the door opens up. The police officers go in. They're like, ma'am, I need you to freeze. However, there are 2 doors leading to the back. There's like a main door and then a side door by the kitchen. So she runs out the side door. And at this point, the Karen is like running, well, quote unquote running, towards the street because she's trying to get away. And that's when Andrew steps in her way. But the Karen was not going down without a fight. Because remember at the beginning when I was like, did the little skit, I was like, imagine if a Karen is like mad at you and then freaking slide tackles you like she's on the Giants. Yeah, the Karen literally bodies Andrew. And Andrew's like a decently sized kid. He's not a big kid. He's not like a super frail kid. Like, bro played, I don't know, he wasn't like a track star, so he wasn't super skinny, but he also wasn't super big like a football player. He was like, I don't know, he was a baseball player, like about in between. But he just gets slammed by this like 200-pound woman. Boom! He flies on the ground, right? And she's on the ground too, and she's like, you should have gotten out of my way. Like, you were in my way. You're disrespecting your elders. And at this point, right, the police officers come, and they're like, ma'am, like they go behind her, they get her up, and they put her in handcuffs. And she's like, officers, this is a perfect time for you to arrest this guy. And they're just like, huh? Like, what? And the Karen's like, yeah, this guy over here, and kind of like nods towards Andrew. And they're like, why would we arrest him? Because earlier today, he was at my private park and he refused to leave. And after that, he came back and started this terrible party, which is against the law. And they're like, ma'am, he was at a public park, because like the police officers were there when Andrew explained it to like them or whatever. He was at a public park. Then you followed him here, and then you called the cops on a kid's Star Wars themed birthday party at 2 p.m. And then when the cops didn't do anything rightfully, you came back and attacked them all with pee-filled and paint-filled balloons. And when the officers were like, ma'am, how did you get pee-filled and paint-filled balloons so quickly? And the Karen was like, you know, you guys are not enacting the law like you used to. You guys used to, like, enact the respecting elders law. You used to do what you're supposed to do. I'm just taking the law into my own hands. And they're like, ma'am, like, can we at least ask where you got the pee-filled balloons? And she's like, you know what? I've been building my artillery over the last 6 months. And at this point, Andrew's like, oh my God. So you're saying I could have just gotten hit with a 6-month-old pee balloon? I think I'm going to puke, bro. Yeah, so at that point, they take the Karen away, and she's like, kind of yelling or whatever. And yeah, so the mom like says to the police officers, like, hey, can we also like make sure we get a restraining order in here so she's not allowed to come back? And they're like, yeah. He's like, would you like to press charges? And the mom's like, yes. Like, yeah, I would. Okay. And yeah, so they, at this point, Andrew kind of stays to help clean up and just, like, stays for literally 2 hours. And by the time he leaves, because it's getting dark and he has to bring his little brother back home, they were literally not even close to being done cleaning it up. Because imagine, like, paint everywhere. Old woman, 6-month-old urine is just stained everything. And everything's, like, broken and destroyed. However, though, like, somehow... somehow, like, it legit, like, the presents did not get destroyed. This little kid's presents did not get a speck of paint or pee on them. Like, the story of probably one of the worst Karens that I've ever received a story about. So sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's just jump right into this. I'm going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Ken. So anyways, right, this all happened when Ken was literally in 5th grade. He was just a little kid, right? And actually, some people are in 5th grade watching this. You're an adult, man. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But anyways, right, so Ken was invited over to a birthday party of another one of his friends. It was a outdoors Star Wars themed birthday party. In my opinion, it sounds pretty hype. But anyways, right, you know, there was some Karens in the neighborhood that might have disagreed, as you guys will see. Anyways, Ken's mom is driving him over, and they have their present ready. And, you know, they drive over, they get to the house, and there's a big sign in the front yard that says, party in the back of the house, like, just walk around to the backyard, and, you know, the gate's open, just walk around. So anyways, right, Ken and his mom walk over, and Ken's carrying the present, and you go into the backyard, and you see all these kids around. It's kind of like Star Wars themed, so they have these, like, foam lightsabers. I used to have some as a kid. Those are fire. They have, like, stormtrooper costumes. They have a big Death Star piñata. It's fire. It's a great birthday party, right? So anyways, Ken walks over, you know, his the birthday kids, the birthday boy's mother comes over, greets them, says, thank you so much. Ken's mom says, hey, where do we put the present? Points over at a table. They go over, put the present down. And Ken's having a really good time. And honestly, everyone's having a really good time at this birthday party, and it's not that loud. I mean, first of all, it's like 2 p.m. It's during the summer. They have a pool. It's not like everyone else was inside being super quiet. And it wasn't like there's a curfew at 2 in the afternoon being like, you can't be reasonably loud at 2 in the afternoon during the summer because your kids are having fun in a birthday party. That's illegal, right? That's not a thing. But apparently the Karen in the neighborhood, she didn't realize this. So anyways, right, this all happened when Ken and all of his friends were just playing around, and Ken's parents and, the other kids' parents that were there at the party were standing at the tables watching the kids play. And that's when this older woman walks through and into the party, and Ken turns around and assumes, oh, maybe this is the birthday kid's grandma, or maybe this is someone that they know. Maybe this is just an older mom. Who even knows, right? Woman walks in, and she says, who's in charge here? And immediately when she says this, Ken and probably everyone else at the party immediately knew that, something was off, that, no, this is not a friendly sight, right? This is not an ally. This is not someone on our team. This is definitely someone who doesn't want this party to succeed. So anyways, right, and just so you know, the party was not that loud. Sure, kids were jumping into the pool. Sure, some kids were running around screaming. If you live in a neighborhood during the summer and you don't hear that, then you're living in an old person neighborhood, man, with no grandkids coming over. It's a common thing to happen. They weren't being crazy loud. They weren't blasting music. But anyways, the Karen must have had nothing better to do, so she walked over, she saw the sign, and she invited herself into this kid's birthday party. So the Karen is like, who's in charge here? And, the birthday kid's mom walks over and says, hey, tries to, settle it down so the Karen doesn't make a scene. And she goes over, and she's like, hello, this is my son's birthday party. And the Karen's like, it's too loud. It's too loud. And, she's like, okay, well, I'll tell them to quiet down. I don't think it's been we've been unreasonably loud, but, just for your preference, I'll ask them to quiet down a little bit. And the Karen looks at her and then turns to all the kids and says, you kids better keep it down or you'll be hearing more from me. And you don't want to mess with me because that means you're messing with my husband. And then she kind of waddles away, right? So at this point, Ken and all the parents and all the kids there look at each other. And, the birthday kid's mom's like, all right, guys, can we just be a little bit quieter? You can keep doing what you're doing. Keep jumping in the pool. That's all good with me. But can you just be a little bit quieter so she doesn't come over again? And they're all like, yeah, totally makes sense. That's totally fair. And they just go back to doing what they're normally doing, right? Life is good again. And yeah, they don't really quiet down that much. But they weren't being loud in the first place. No one's going to jump into the pool quietly. How do you jump into the pool quietly? You're going to make a splash. Do you pencil dive in every single time? Bro, cannonballs are fun. I'm sorry. Are the kids running around doing the lightsaber games? Are they going to be completely quiet? This isn't a Buddhist monk temple, bro. You can talk. It's fine. It's not a monastery. Come on now. So anyways, the kids go back to being kids. As kids should, right? And once again, Ken is just, completely forgot about the Karen who came over and said, you guys better quiet down or my husband will beat you up. Okay, she didn't say that, but you know what I mean. Ken completely forgot about the Karen, and that's until, right, they Ken hears the gate open again. Assume it's maybe new kids coming to the party that were late. Maybe someone had to step outside. Maybe, I don't know. But Ken doesn't think that it's the Karen walking through. But sure enough, right? Sure enough, the same old woman walks through again. And she's like, attention! She literally screams attention. And everyone at the party, the kids, the parents, people in the pool, people playing lightsabers, everybody stops what they're doing and they turn around and they look at this Karen. And this Karen, after screaming attention, is like, I warned you guys to not be too loud. This is your final warning. And they all kind of looked at her like, bro, are you crazy? No disrespect, actually, all disrespect, but are you crazy, dude? And she's like, and if I have to come around one more time, I'm calling the police on this party and having it shut down. And the birthday kid's mom says, like, goes over and says, ma'am, like, with all due respect, we're really not being that loud. Like, these parties happen all the time. And it's true. There was a lot of families in the neighborhood. And during the summer, they had kids and the kids were playing. Kids were being kids. That's part of being in the neighborhood with a bunch of parents, a bunch of families. That's how it goes during the summertime, man. I mean, enjoy the laughter of kids. There's much worse background noise. Like, I don't know, nails on a chalkboard? Would you rather that be your neighborhood sound? Anyways, though, so Karen is like, either way, if you guys are loud one more time, you can leave me no choice but to call the police on all of you. And at this point, people were kind of looking at each other. Ken was kind of looking back and forth like, oh my God, like what's going on right now? And that Karen looks at all of them and just literally points at all the kids, which, bro, point at the parents. If you're going to be doing this, fight the parents. Don't fight the kids on this. And she looks at all of them. She says, I'm watching you all. And the Karen waddles off in her little moo-moo thing or whatever. And so the birthday kid's mom turns to all the kids and is like kind of upset at this point. She's like, guys, you were not being too loud. Don't let that old woman tell you that. Like, that's ridiculous. You guys are totally fine. You know, if she's going to call the police on a kid's birthday party, then let her call the police on a kid's birthday party. Everybody go ham. And everyone was kind of in agreement because they did know that if the police were to come, they would have, like, the police were going to show up. They were going to hear the level of noise, and they were going to realize that this old woman called the cops. They could have been, maybe they were needed somewhere else. Maybe they were needed on duty, but no, this woman decided that, because these kids were having a birthday party and enjoying, the summer fun, that they were the real problem here and don't get it twisted. Like, come on now, bro. Like, you can't seriously think that. So the police if they're going to show up, they're going to hear it and they're going to realize it's not being a problem. And, it's going to be completely ineffective. So the birthday kid's mom is like, screw it. Everyone be as loud as you want. I personally don't care. So all the kids go back to doing what they're doing. And sure enough, right, the sound goes back up because, the kids just go back to playing their games. They're in the pool. They're playing lightsabers. Ken is having a good time with his friends. And that's when you hear the gate not open. The last two times the gate opened, this time it was opened with such intentional force that it slammed. And for all we know, it could have cracked or braked or something. But people heard, broke, sorry. The people heard the gate slam. So everyone immediately turns around and looks at it. And they see the Karen walking over, and this time it is this old male Karen who is walking over too. By the way, Karen doesn't just mean female. There are plenty of male Karens, bro. They exist, and here's proof. So anyways, right, the Karen and her husband, male Karen, are both standing there. And you would have thought that the way that Karen spoke about her husband, that this guy would have been 6'8", 300 pounds, 100% muscle, 0% body fat, carrying 2 Gatling guns on his hands. You would have thought that he was a crazy or president of the United States with a drone strike ready for your face if you disagreed. But unfortunately, fortunately, no. He was just another old Karen dude. They both walk over, and the Karen starts laughing. Imagine laughing at a bunch of kids enjoying themselves. She's laughing. She's like, you've done it now. You've done it now, haven't you? You have fallen into my trap. And everyone kind of turns around and is like, ma'am, did you just say fallen into your trap? You're trying to trap these little kids? She goes on to say, I gave you 2 whole warnings that if you guys didn't quiet down with your shenanigans and crazy party, okay, if you call this a crazy party, some kids jumping into the pool and playing lightsabers, then Karen, I don't know what parties you're going to. But anyways, right, she's like, if I told you not to quiet down, then I would call the police, and now I'm coming back with my husband. Aren't you guys intimidated? And the Karen turns to all the kids. The kids kind of just stare back, blinking, what? Is this some old Karen, bro? No, I'm not intimidated. What are you talking about? She's like, that's it. I'm calling the cops. So anyways, calls the police, right? Shows everyone 911. She picks it up. She's like, officers, please, I need you to get here now. Says the name and address of like the place that they were at. Please, it's a crazy party. They're going to destroy the neighborhood. We need you here now. Oh no. Starts this like fake crying bit. And you could hear the operator being like, ma'am, don't worry, we'll be there right away. And she turns out the phone. The Karen's like, ha 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 ha. This is what you get for disturbing the peace. And at this point, right, the mother of the birthday kid is pretty angry, and she's like, did you seriously just call the police on kids having fun, enjoying, like, their birthday party? First of all, this stuff happens all the time, right? Second of all, these are a bunch of kids, right? These are a bunch of kids at a birthday party. This is not what the officers are thinking, that you're calling in some crazy rager party that's going to actually cause damage to the city and is actually way too loud and whatever, right? These are some kids with a Star Wars themed birthday party. Like, this is going to be the biggest flop for you ever. This is going to be embarrassing for you. This is ridiculous. I can't wait to see it go down. So at this point, right, the Karen and this mom are completely beefing, and it's pretty interesting. The tension in this room you could definitely cut with a knife. But anyways, everyone's just kind of waiting. Like, they kind of just go back to doing what they're doing while, like, the birthday, because they're kind of waiting for the cops to show up. But they just go back to playing their Star Wars stuff because, I don't know, they're in 5th grade. Why would they care? And anyways, right, so the Karen and, the birthday kid's mom are kind of feuding. They're kind of yelling at each other. Not super loudly, but they're kind of, like, angrily talking. You know the difference between, like, angry talking and straight up yelling? They were angry talking. So when all of a sudden, right, they hear the gate open up a bit more politely than the Karen ever opened up that gate, and they see 2 officers walk to the back. And immediately the Karen goes, officers, thank you so much. Oh my God, you're here. And the male Karen is like, thank you, gentlemen, for arriving. Like, if you didn't arrive 1 minute sooner, the whole town would have been in flames, or something completely ridiculous, right? So the officers look around, and they're just looking at Star Wars piñata, foam lightsabers, a pool, and a bunch of 5th graders running around having fun. And they're just like, what? So they go up, and they're like, who called this in? And the male Karen and the female Karen both raise their hands, and they're like, officers, we did it. And they're like, was it like, where's the party? Like, is it down a couple blocks or something? And Karen's like, can't you see? It's right in front of you. This is outrageous. Real quick, comment Karen if you made it this far into the video. I just like to see the names and faces of people who made it this far, and I'll try and heart a bunch of comments to people who do. And also, if you want to support the channel, the best way is by just sitting down and watching a bunch of videos in a row. So maybe later or after this video, just keep watching videos, and in the comment section, let me know what you're doing while you're watching these videos. I'm actually very curious, like playing a video game, are you drawing, do these videos help you go to sleep? I'm really curious. I love reading the comments, and just like, I'll heart a bunch of them, whatever like that. And the little final thing I want to say is if you guys like energy drinks, and you guys like gamer subs, wait a couple days, because I got a cool thing coming for you guys. But anyways, I don't want to spoil anything. Let's just get back into it. So anyways, the Karen versus police versus little kids at a 5th grader's Star Wars birthday party, right? The big menaces, of course. They're the real problem in this town. But anyways, right, the officers are kind of looking at the Karen and are like, ma'am, are you serious? And she's like, seriously upset? Yeah. And they're kind of just like, no, like, did you call us in saying that there was a crazy party that had an immediate threat to the nearby neighborhood, and this was it? And the Karen's like, yeah, what's your point? And they're like, ma'am, this is a bunch of kids playing at a birthday party, or what looks like, and he points to the presents. And he's like, if they were significantly louder than they were when I walked in, I wouldn't have even cared. But when I was walking in, I barely heard any audible noise. And the kids continue to play like in the pool. Like, kids are allowed to jump in the pool. Kids are allowed to yell and scream and talk to each other and run around. And it's 2 in the afternoon, ma'am. Do you really need your afternoon nap that bad? Like, can't you take it earlier or later, or just go to bed later? Like, is it really that big of a deal? And at this point, the male Karen is like, look here, son, like back in my day, these kids would have been rounded up and thrown in jail. And the officer's like, sir, I really don't think that's what happened. He's really like, I really don't think that was a thing. He's like, are you disrespecting my authority? And the officer's like, authority? He's like, yes, respect your elders and listen to everything we say always. And the Karen's like, yeah, lock them up. And then immediately the male Karen and the female Karen start chanting, lock them up, lock them up, lock them up, lock them. And they're just pointing at the kids. And the officers are so dumbfounded that these two old people are chanting, lock up these kids, for just having fun at a birthday party. At this point, the parents start getting really mad and they're kind of mumbling and they're yelling stuff. And the kids literally, like, Ken is like, kind of remembers part of this, but part of his memory is blurry because he was too busy in an epic lightsaber duel with his friend. Bro, those went so hard, the lightsaber duels. My dad and I used to do those every night. We'd have like the light up plastic ones. It would be like late at night. And it would just be like, all you could really see was the lightsaber. That was so fire. That was so much fun. I'd do it again now if I could find them. But anyways, right, so at this point, the officers are like, ma'am, like, can I get your name? And she's like, is this for a civic award for reporting the worst crime ever? They're like, no. In fact, we're getting your name so that, like, as a violation, like, for wasting our time. And if you call us again, we're going to have a serious talk. And at this point, right, the Karen is like, this is unacceptable! And balls up her fist and literally starts swinging and punching at the officers. And they're like, ma'am, like, stop this. And the Karen runs away, right? Doesn't sprint out of there, but like waddles quickly. And the male Karen starts blocking the two police officers, like, you stay away from my wife. Right, so this woman just called the cops on a bunch of kids and then started like swinging on these officers, making contact with their face. Bro, pro tip to not get arrested. Don't punch a police officer. Trust me, you'll be better off not doing that. But anyways, right, you know, these two officers are kind of like trying to push through. And eventually, right, the male Karen escapes into her car. And at this point, right, they're both like, Karen drives away. But, the female Karen drives away. The male Karen is still there. At this point, all the kids have stopped and they're like, oh my God, it's a fight. Let's go watch. So everyone, like, is looking around. And at this point, the male Karen is, like, being interrogated by the police, basically being like, where do you guys live? He's like, I'm not saying anything. He's like, sir, like, if you cooperate, it'll be like it won't be as bad. And that's when one of the parents says, I recognize those people. Like, they like cause problems for my cousins. Because they're like, I guess their cousins live in the neighborhood too. Like, apparently they're always like throwing stuff over the fence, being like really obnoxious neighbors. And she's like, I know exactly where they live. So at this point, right, the male Karen's like, no. And the police get into the car and they drive over to where, like, the Karen is actually at. And at this point, right, the party's completely derailed, and all the kids, like, you know, Ken speaks to the kid of the mom who knows where the Karen's lives, and Ken's like, dude, where do these people live? And the kid's like, dude, they only live, like, 2 blocks away. So all the kids are like, bye, Mom, we'll see you later. And the parents are like, wait, no. All the kids, like, start running down in that direction. And they run down there, and once they get down there, the police are already there, and they're knocking on the door. Police officer's like, ma'am, you cannot assault one of us and then run away. That is literally unacceptable. And she responds back, I am your elder, and I don't need to listen to you. And also, I am a woman, you should respect me, and this is very disrespectful. You know it's important to be courteous to ladies like myself. At this point, the officers are like, ma'am, we treat everyone equally here. We're taking you in either way. She's like, no, that's not courteous to the ladies. No. And they're like, ma'am, we're going to have to if you don't open this door, we don't want to break it down. We don't want to cause damage to your property. Trust me, we're going to get, I know that we're going to get, a bunch of nonsense from you. But at the end of the day, we're coming in one way or another. So either you open this door or we're opening it. And she says, you'll have to fight my husband first. And that's when the officers turn around and the male Karen walks up on both of them. He's like, you stay away from my house or my wife. and he punches one in the face. However, right, you might be like, oh my God, was it a Mike Tyson at his prime knockout? No, it was like, imagine like you tape a pillow onto your fist and you do a slow motion punch in the direction of someone with a pillow on your fist. That was the equivalent of the punch. But that was enough for the officers to be like, all right now. So one of them puts the old guy in handcuffs. He's like, no, no, no. He's like, Karen, or whatever her actual name was, like, escape. It's too late for me, my love. You must get out of here. And she's like, no, Steven, no. And you could like hear like the garage door open, right? She's trying to walk out the garage door when the police officers were right next to it. The door was right next to the garage door, but she thought that she could like outrun the officers. So she starts like waddling out. She's like, don't do anything that wouldn't be courteous to the ladies. You'll regret doing that. The police officer's like, ma'am, please. Ma'am, please. Come on now, ma'am. Please stop. And she's like, no, you must stop. And she continues to waddle down the street, right? So at this point, all the kids are like, you know what? We're helping the officers. Screw this. This lady destroyed the birthday party. So all the kids, they don't like touch the woman or anything, right? They keep their distance. But they basically make a human wall around, like basically blocking her in from walking on the sidewalk or turning over to the street. The Karen's like, you evil little children, get out of my way. This is not very courteous to the ladies. Your parents have taught you nothing about manners. They should have taught you that you have to be courteous to ladies, and this is not courteous to ladies. And at this point, right, all the kids are just like kind of like screaming and laughing because, bro, this is the most fun they've ever had. They're involved in like a police investigation, basically. So they're blocking this woman off. They're making a human shield. And that's when the officer comes up behind her and is like, ma'am, please make this easy. And she's like, if you put me in handcuffs, my husband. And the officer's like, ma'am, your husband's already been detained. She turns around. She's like, no. And she's like, I'm going to run through these kids at full speed. If you don't arrest. Immediately puts her in cuffs. Boom. And I mean, bro, I don't know what she was thinking when she's like, I know what I'll do. I'll threaten these kids. Okay, bro, the officer's gonna be like, you know what, ma'am? After threatening those kids, I've really come to realize that you're a rational individual and we should have a cordial discussion over a cup of hot tea to decide what will come from. No. False. That just didn't happen, bro. She got arrested, bro, in the cuffs. Out of here. Karen gets out of here. Anyways, all the kids are cheering. The parents rush over because, they were walking over and they were slower than the kids. And they're like, kids, never do that again. Like, that was so dangerous. And the officer goes over and they're like, we should just from us, from the boys, from the police force, we want to let you know, thanks to these kids, we're able to stop the obviously, right. Kids weren't necessary. The police officer could have easily got the Karen, but they wanted to make it like a cool thing for like the kid's birthday. And they're like, we just want to let you know. And he kind of like bends down on his knees to all the kids like, you boys are all honorary officers today. And they're all like, oh my God, whatever, right? And they turn to the birthday boy and they're like, we just want to let you know that like we wish you a super happy birthday or whatever, right? So it's a pretty cool birthday, and they kind of turn it around. They bring it back to the house, and they kind of like have a bit of like a little bit more of a celebration, right? They go back to like, the lightsabers. They go back to, it's like 4, it's getting late. They jump in the pool. They actually break the Death Star pinata. That's kind of fun or whatever. And at that point, right, the parents come over and, they're talking about what happened when the kids were over there. The parents are like that was dangerous. Like, that woman was clearly deranged. Like, you don't know what she would have done. But they're like, you guys did like a good thing, so it can't be too mad. Anyways, right, Ken and his mom drive back home. And they sit down at the dinner table, and Ken's dad gets back from work. And he's like, so, Ken, how did the birthday party go? And Ken's mom just breaks out laughing. And, Ken's dad's like, why is your mom laughing, Ken? And Ken's like, boy, do I have a story.
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.